Have you ever felt like the world was trying to tell you something? Like there were secret messages hidden in everyday events? Well, you're not alone. Many people experience this feeling, and there's actually a name for it: synchronicity. It's like the universe has its own special way of talking to us, dropping little hints and clues along our path. But here's the thing. It's more than just random chance or coincidence. Synchronicity is a powerful force that can shape our lives in amazing ways if we learn how to listen. Think about those times when you've been thinking about someone, and out of the blue, they call or text you. Or when you keep seeing the same number everywhere you look, on clocks, license plates, or receipts. These aren't just happy accidents. They're part of a bigger picture, a hidden language that's always surrounding us. It's as if the universe is playing a cosmic game of connect the dots, and we're just starting to see the full image. But here's where it gets really interesting. Synchronicity isn't just about noticing weird coincidences. It's about understanding that these moments are trying to tell us something important. They're like little nudges from the universe, pointing us in the right direction or confirming we're on the right path. It's almost like having a secret conversation with the world around us. Now you might be thinking, that sounds cool, but what's the big deal? Well, here's why it matters so much. If we don't learn to recognize and understand synchronicity, we could be missing out on some of the most important messages and opportunities in our lives. It's like having a wise friend who's always trying to give us good advice, but we keep ignoring them because we're too busy or distracted. Imagine going through life with your eyes half closed, only seeing part of what's really there. That's what it's like when we ignore synchronicity. We miss out on the magic and meaning that's hiding in plain sight. But when we start to pay attention, it's like putting on a pair of glasses for the first time. Suddenly, everything comes into focus, and we see the world in a whole new way. Think about all the times you've had a gut feeling about something, but you brushed it off. Maybe you had a hunch about a job opportunity, a new friendship, or even a warning about a situation that didn't feel right. Those hunches are often connected to synchronicity. When we learn to trust these feelings and look for the signs that support them, we open ourselves up to a whole new level of guidance and insight. But it's not just about making better decisions or avoiding mistakes. Understanding synchronicity can lead us to a more fulfilling and purposeful life. It's like having a personal guide that helps us navigate the twists and turns of our journey. We start to feel more connected to the world around us, and we begin to see how everything is interlinked in ways we never noticed before. So what exactly is synchronicity? At its core, synchronicity is about meaningful coincidences. These are events that seem to line up in ways that are too perfect to be just random chance. It's like the universe is playing a game of cosmic Tetris, fitting pieces together in ways that catch our attention and make us go, wow, what are the odds of that happening? Let's break it down with some examples. Have you ever been struggling with a big decision, and then you randomly open a book to find a quote that speaks directly to your situation? Or maybe you've been thinking about starting a new hobby, and suddenly you meet someone who's an expert in that exact thing. These are classic examples of synchronicity in action. But it goes beyond just convenient timing. Synchronicity often involves a deep sense of meaning or significance. It's not just that something unexpected happened. It's that it happened in a way that feels personally relevant or important to you. It's like the universe is sending you a personalized message wrapped up in the events of your everyday life. One of the most common forms of synchronicity is seeing repeated numbers or patterns. Maybe you keep noticing the time 11:11 on clocks, or you see the number 333 popping up everywhere you go. In the world of synchronicity, these aren't just random occurrences. They're seen as signs or messages, each with its own special meaning. Another way synchronicity shows up is through unexpected encounters. You might be thinking about an old friend you haven't seen in years, and then bump into them at the grocery store. Or you could be mulling over a problem at work, and then overhear a conversation that gives you the perfect solution. These moments feel like more than just coincidence. They feel like the universe is conspiring to help us out. It's important to understand that synchronicity isn't about some mystical force controlling our lives. Instead, it's about recognizing the interconnectedness of all things. It's the idea that our inner world of thoughts and feelings is somehow mirrored in the outer world of events and experiences. When we start to notice these connections, it's like we're tuning into a frequency we didn't even know existed before. Think of it like this. Imagine you're watching a movie, but you can only see every other scene. You'd still be able to follow the basic plot, but you'd be missing out on a lot of important details and connections. That's what life can be like when we ignore synchronicity. But when we start paying attention, it's like we're finally seeing all the scenes. Suddenly the story makes a whole lot more sense, and we can appreciate all the subtle ways everything is tied together. Now you might be wondering, how do I know if something is really synchronicity or just a random coincidence? That's a great question, and it's one that even experts in the field grapple with. The key is to trust your intuition. If an event or coincidence feels meaningful to you, if it resonates with something going on in your life or your thoughts, then it's worth paying attention to. It's also important to remember that synchronicity isn't about looking for signs in everything. It's not about becoming obsessed with finding meaning in every little thing that happens. Instead, it's about developing an awareness and openness to the possibility that the universe might be trying to communicate with us in subtle ways. As we dive deeper into the world of synchronicity, we'll explore its history, how it works, and most importantly, how you can start recognizing and working with it in your own life. Remember, the language of synchronicity is all around us all the time. We just need to learn how to listen and understand what it's saying. By doing so, we open ourselves up to a whole new level of insight, guidance, and connection with the world around us. The more we pay attention to synchronicity, the more we start to see it everywhere. It's like learning a new language. At first, you might only recognize a few words here and there, but as you practice and become more familiar with it, you start to understand whole sentences and conversations. The same is true with synchronicity. The more you notice and acknowledge these meaningful coincidences, the more frequently they seem to occur. But here's the really exciting part. Synchronicity isn't just about passive observation. It's an invitation to actively engage with the world in a new way. When we start to recognize these patterns and messages, we can use them as guideposts in our lives. They can help us make decisions, find new opportunities, and even navigate through challenging times. Imagine you're at a crossroads in your life, trying to decide whether to take a new job or stay in your current position. You might start noticing signs related to your decision. Perhaps you keep overhearing conversations about career changes, or you repeatedly come across articles about job satisfaction. These synchronicities aren't telling you what to do, but they're inviting you to pay closer attention to your situation and your feelings about it. It's important to note that synchronicity isn't about some external force controlling our lives or making decisions for us. Instead, it's about recognizing the deep interconnectedness of all things, including our own thoughts and the events around us. It's a reminder that we're not isolated individuals, but part of a larger, intricate web of existence. As we continue to explore the concept of synchronicity, we'll delve into its fascinating history, examine how it works on a deeper level, and discover practical ways to incorporate this awareness into our daily lives. By the end of this journey, you'll have a new set of tools to help you navigate life's twists and turns, and a fresh perspective on the hidden language that's been around you all along. Remember, the universe is always speaking to us. Synchronicity is our way of tuning into that conversation. So keep your eyes open, your mind curious, and your heart receptive. You never know what amazing messages and opportunities might be waiting for you just around the corner. The idea of synchronicity didn't just appear out of thin air. It has a fascinating history that goes back to one of the most famous psychologists of all time, Carl Jung. Jung wasn't just any ordinary thinker. He was a pioneer who wasn't afraid to explore ideas that others might have dismissed as too out there. Jung first started thinking about synchronicity because of experiences in his own life and the stories he heard from his patients. He noticed that sometimes really meaningful coincidences would happen that seemed too perfect to be just random chance. It was like the universe was trying to send a message, but in a language we weren't used to hearing. One of the most famous stories about Jung and synchronicity involves a patient he was treating. During a therapy session, this patient was telling Jung about a dream she had about a golden scarab beetle. Right at that moment, Jung heard a tapping on his office window. When he went to check, he found a real golden scarab beetle trying to get in. This kind of coincidence was too powerful for Jung to ignore, and it helped spark his ideas about synchronicity. But Jung didn't just rely on personal experiences. He dug deep into different cultures and traditions, looking for similar ideas. He found that many ancient beliefs and philosophies had concepts that were a lot like synchronicity. This made him think that maybe there was something universal about this idea, something that people had been noticing for a very long time. What's really interesting is that Jung's ideas about synchronicity weren't just accepted right away. A lot of other scientists and psychologists thought it was too mystical or not scientific enough. But Jung stuck to his guns. He believed that there were aspects of human experience that couldn't be explained by traditional scientific methods alone. Over time, more and more people started to pay attention to Jung's ideas about synchronicity. They realized that even if we can't explain it completely, there's something important about these meaningful coincidences. It's like Jung opened a door to a whole new way of looking at how we connect with the world around us. Today, synchronicity isn't just an idea in psychology books. It's something that lots of people experience and talk about. From spiritual seekers to business leaders, many people have found that paying attention to synchronicity can lead to amazing insights and opportunities. Now that we know where the idea of synchronicity came from, let's dive into how it actually works. Think of synchronicity as a bridge between two worlds, the inner world of our thoughts and feelings and the outer world of events and experiences. It's like these two worlds are having a conversation, and synchronicity is the language they're using. Here's the really cool part. Synchronicity suggests that what's going on inside us can somehow be reflected in what happens around us. It's almost like the universe is a giant mirror showing us aspects of ourselves that we might not otherwise notice. Let's break it down with an example. Imagine you're thinking about making a big change in your life, like moving to a new city. You might start noticing all sorts of things related to that city. Maybe you overhear people talking about it, or you see it mentioned in a book you're reading. It's not that the universe is necessarily telling you to move there, but it's reflecting your inner thoughts and bringing your attention to things that might be relevant to your decision. But synchronicity isn't just about seeing what we want to see. It often involves events that are so unlikely or meaningful that they catch us by surprise. It's these unexpected connections that make synchronicity so powerful and intriguing. One way to understand how synchronicity works is to think about it in terms of patterns. Our brains are really good at recognizing patterns. It's how we make sense of the world. Synchronicity might be tapping into this ability, helping us see connections and meanings that we might otherwise miss. Some people explain synchronicity through the idea of a collective unconscious, a kind of shared pool of knowledge and experience that all humans can access. Others look to quantum physics, suggesting that synchronicity might be related to the weird and wonderful ways that particles can be connected across time and space. The truth is, we don't fully understand the mechanics of how synchronicity works, but that's okay. Sometimes the mystery is part of what makes it so fascinating and powerful. What matters most is how we experience it and what we do with those experiences. Now that we've explored what synchronicity is and how it might work, let's talk about how to recognize it in your own life. The key here is to stay open and aware. Synchronicity often shows up in ways we might not expect. One of the most common forms of synchronicity is seeing repeated numbers or patterns. Have you ever looked at a clock and seen 11:11, 2:22, or 3:33? Many people believe these number patterns are a form of synchronicity. It's not about the numbers themselves, but about the fact that you're noticing them at just the right moment. Another way synchronicity can show up is through meaningful songs or words. Maybe you're struggling with a problem, and then you hear a song on the radio with lyrics that seem to speak directly to your situation, or you might open a book to a random page and find a quote that perfectly fits what you're going through. Synchronicity can also involve meeting the right person at just the right time. You might be thinking about starting a new hobby and then run into someone who's an expert in that very thing. These kinds of chance encounters often feel like more than just coincidence. Sometimes, synchronicity shows up as finding exactly what you need when you need it. It's like when you're looking for a specific book and it practically falls off the shelf in front of you, or when you're thinking about a problem at work and suddenly come across an article that offers the perfect solution. Nature can also be a source of synchronicity. You might see an animal that has special meaning to you, or notice a beautiful sunset just when you need a moment of peace and reflection. These natural signs can feel like messages from the universe. The key to recognizing synchronicity is to trust your instincts. If something feels meaningful or significant to you, pay attention to it. It's not about looking for signs in everything, but about being open to the possibility that the universe might be trying to communicate with you. It's also important to keep a sense of balance. Not everything is a sign, and not every coincidence is meaningful. The goal is to be aware and open, not to become obsessed with finding meaning in every little thing that happens. One helpful practice is to keep a synchronicity journal. Write down any experiences that feel synchronistic to you. Over time, you might start to notice patterns or themes in these experiences. This can help you better understand what these synchronicities might be trying to tell you. Remember, recognizing synchronicity is a skill that gets better with practice. The more you pay attention, the more you'll start to notice these meaningful coincidences in your life. It's like tuning into a frequency that's always been there, but that you're only now starting to hear clearly. As you become more attuned to synchronicity, you might find that these experiences become more frequent or more profound. This doesn't mean that more synchronicities are actually happening. It's just that you're getting better at noticing and appreciating them. Synchronicity can show up in big ways or small ways. Sometimes it might be a dramatic event that changes the course of your life. Other times it might be a small, quiet moment that simply brings a smile to your face. Both are equally valuable and worth paying attention to. One important thing to remember is that synchronicity isn't about predicting the future or controlling events. It's about being open to guidance and insight that can help you navigate your life more effectively. Think of it as a tool for self-reflection and personal growth rather than a crystal ball. As you start to recognize more synchronicities in your life, you might find yourself feeling more connected to the world around you. You might start to see patterns and connections that you never noticed before. This can lead to a deeper sense of meaning and purpose in your everyday experiences. But recognizing synchronicity isn't just about noticing cool coincidences. It's about what you do with those experiences. How do you interpret them? How do they influence your thoughts and actions? These are the questions that can turn synchronicity from an interesting phenomenon into a powerful tool for personal growth and self-discovery. Now that we've learned how to spot synchronicity in our daily lives, let's dive into what these experiences might mean. Remember, synchronicity is like a secret language, and just like any language, it takes time and practice to understand it fully. When we experience synchronicity, it's often a sign that we're on the right path. It's like the universe is giving us a little nod of approval, saying, "Hey, you're heading in the right direction." For example, if you've been thinking about starting a new project and suddenly you keep running into people or resources related to that project, it might be a sign that you should go for it. Sometimes synchronicity can serve as a warning or a gentle nudge to pay attention to something. Maybe you keep seeing reminders of a friend you've lost touch with. This could be a sign that it's time to reach out and reconnect, or perhaps you keep encountering obstacles related to a particular decision. This might be the universe's way of suggesting you need to reconsider your choice. Synchronicity can also point us towards new opportunities or paths we hadn't considered before. Let's say you've been feeling stuck in your career, and then you keep coming across information about a field you've never thought about before. This could be an invitation to explore a new direction that might be more fulfilling for you. Often, Synchronistic experiences carry messages of comfort or reassurance. In times of doubt or difficulty, you might notice signs that remind you of your strength or capability. These can be like little cosmic pep talks, helping you find the courage to keep going. It's important to remember that the meaning of synchronicity is often personal. What a particular sign or coincidence means to you might be different from what it means to someone else. That's why it's crucial to trust your intuition and personal understanding when interpreting these experiences. Sometimes the message of synchronicity isn't immediately clear. It might take time and reflection to understand what a particular experience means for you. That's okay. Part of the beauty of synchronicity is the process of unraveling its mysteries, harnessing the power of synchronicity. Understanding synchronicity is one thing, but actively working with it is another. This is where we can really start to tap into the transformative power of this phenomenon. So, how can we use synchronicity to enhance our lives and guide our decisions? First and foremost, cultivate an attitude of openness and awareness. The more open you are to the possibility of synchronicity, the more likely you are to notice it when it occurs. This doesn't mean becoming superstitious or reading too much into every little thing. Instead, it's about maintaining a sense of wonder and curiosity about the world around you. One powerful practice is to start each day with an intention. This could be something as simple as, "Today, I'm open to guidance and new opportunities." By setting this intention, you're essentially inviting synchronicity into your life. You're telling the universe that you're ready to receive its messages. When you do notice a synchronistic event, take a moment to reflect on it. What were you thinking or feeling just before it happened? What might this experience be trying to tell you? Journaling about these experiences can be incredibly helpful in uncovering patterns and meanings over time. Don't be afraid to act on the guidance you receive through synchronicity. If you keep getting signs pointing you in a particular direction, consider taking a step in that direction. Remember, synchronicity often shows up as an invitation or an opportunity. It's up to us to decide whether to accept or pursue it. At the same time, it's important to maintain a balance. While synchronicity can be a powerful guide, it shouldn't be the only factor in your decision-making. Use it as one tool among many, alongside logical thinking, intuition, and advice from trusted sources. Practice gratitude for the synchronicities you experience. When you notice a meaningful coincidence or receive helpful guidance, take a moment to express thanks. This attitude of gratitude can help amplify the positive energy in your life and may even lead to more synchronistic experiences. Remember that working with synchronicity is a skill that develops over time. Don't get discouraged if you don't immediately see dramatic results. Like any practice, it takes patience and persistence. The more you work with it, the more natural and intuitive it will become. As we delve deeper into the world of synchronicity, it's fascinating to explore the various forms it can take. While we've touched on some common types earlier, let's expand our understanding of the diverse ways synchronicity can manifest in our lives. One intriguing form is what we might call object synchronicity. This is when physical objects seem to appear in your life at just the right moment, often carrying a specific message or significance. For instance, you might be thinking about a deceased loved one and then find an object that belonged to them in an unexpected place. These experiences can feel like little gifts from the universe, tangible reminders of unseen connections. Another type is media synchronicity. In our digital age, this has become increasingly common. You might be mulling over a problem and then stumble upon a social media post, article, or video that addresses exactly what you've been thinking about. It's as if the vast sea of information out there somehow aligns perfectly with your inner world at that moment. Dream synchronicity is particularly fascinating. This occurs when elements from your dreams seem to manifest in your waking life. For example, you might dream about a place you've never been and then see that exact place in a movie the next day. These experiences blur the lines between our conscious and unconscious worlds, hinting at deeper connections we might not usually perceive. There's also what we could call synchronicity of timing. These are those moments when everything seems to fall into place perfectly, often in ways that defy logical explanation. It's like when you miss your usual train, only to find that the delay leads to a chance encounter that changes your life. These experiences often leave us marveling at the intricate choreography of the universe. Synchronicity of thought is when you're thinking about someone and they contact you at that exact moment, or when you and a friend bring up the same obscure topic simultaneously. These experiences highlight the mysterious ways our minds can seem connected beyond physical boundaries. Nature often plays a role in synchronicity too. Natural synchronicity might involve seeing a particular animal repeatedly when it holds special meaning for you, or experiencing weather that perfectly mirrors your emotional state. These experiences can foster a deep sense of connection with the natural world. As you explore these different types of synchronicity, you might find that some resonate more strongly with you than others. Pay attention to the forms that seem most meaningful in your life. These might be the channels through which the universe communicates with you most clearly. As we wrap up our exploration of synchronicity, it's clear that we've only scratched the surface of this fascinating phenomenon. From its roots in Carl Jung's pioneering work to its diverse manifestations in our daily lives, synchronicity offers a unique lens through which to view our connection with the world around us. By learning to recognize and work with synchronicity, we open ourselves to a richer, more meaningful experience of life. We begin to see the intricate web of connections that surround us, linking our inner world with the outer reality we navigate each day. This awareness can bring a sense of wonder and magic to even the most ordinary moments. Remember, embracing synchronicity doesn't mean abandoning reason or logic. Instead, it's about finding a balance between rational thought and intuitive understanding. It's about being open to the possibility that there's more to our world than what meets the eye, while still remaining grounded in practical reality. As you continue on your journey with synchronicity, stay curious and open-hearted. Pay attention to the little coincidences and meaningful moments that pepper your days. Reflect on what they might be telling you. But don't become obsessed with finding meaning in every little thing. Trust your intuition and let synchronicity be a gentle guide rather than a strict rulebook. Most importantly, have fun with it. The dance of synchronicity can bring joy, insight, and a sense of connection to our lives. It reminds us that we're part of something larger than ourselves, participants in a grand cosmic story that's constantly unfolding. So keep your eyes open, your mind curious, and your heart receptive. The universe is always speaking, and now you have the tools to listen more closely than ever before. Who knows what amazing discoveries and opportunities await you on this synchronistic journey? The next meaningful coincidence could be just around the corner, ready to guide you towards new insights, growth, and possibilities.